And we're back inside the Bear Den. Today joining me is Stroudsburg Principal Jeff Sodl. Also, he's the Mountain Valley Conference President. Thanks for joining us today. I really do appreciate this.
Not a problem at all.
Let's just get down to, while we're discussing this, for the past month, we've been talking about the Colonial League coming in, and as you put it in the paper, is overstepping. I mean, they came in backdoor,
Right.
an invitation to Pleasant Valley and then to Lehighton.
Right, it was something that we weren't expecting. They knew, in our opinion, the league's opinion, they knew that we were a struggling league. Lehighton is going to be leaving us after next year, so we'd be down to 6 teams. So you'd have 5 opponents, and trying to find games would be very difficult. So to come in and try to swipe one of our teams, who has been we've had great relationships
Absolutely.
for years and great rivalries, it really was a shock to us. So we were pretty upset about it.
You had no idea this was...
We had no idea, and apparently Pleasant Valley didn't either.
Right.
Because it was an unsolicited invitation.
Is this common?
Not that I've seen. So it was shocking.
Well, everyone that listens to the show and they were commenting on the web didn't see the practical reasons why Pleasant Valley would even do this.
Right, exactly.
You know,
I think for the Colonial League, they're in a difficult situation with trying to help out or appease Bangor, because Bangor is a larger school in that league, and they have a difficult time a lot of times making district playoffs.
Right.
Based on their PowerPoints and who they play. So I think in order to try to help Bangor out and make it more palatable for them, they're trying to get a bigger school or two in that league.
And to be clear, Bangor is only 3A in football.
Correct.
Every other sport they are 4.
Correct.
They are 4 in.
That is
so.
correct. Plus, the Colonial League just brought in 2 more smaller schools, or back then they had, or they
Right.
invited. So
Notre Dame,
and I think it was Moravian Academy.
Right.
So we were a little taken off guard when they invited Pleasant Valley.
So this was really the Colonial League coming in and saying we need to get bigger schools to play Bangor to get their points.
That's how it was perceived by our league.
I don't think you're far off by
Right.
any kind of stretch. Now, this past week, the Mountain Valley Conference has come in and now sent out an invitation to the Colonial League.
We did.
And was this already in the works? This isn't something that...
That's another thing. We had been discussing it. We had been working on it for several months before the Colonial League sent that invitation. So we were hoping Pleasant Valley would I know they took their time, and they have to do their due diligence
Right.
for their community, for their school board, etc. So we were hoping Pleasant Valley would close the door right away on the Colonial League, but it's school district, and you have to go through your proper procedures.
The administrative.
Right. But yes, we have been working on it for a number of months, and some of the criticism might be of us sending these invitations. They might say, well, you guys just did exactly what you criticized the Colonial League for. But we really see it differently, because we invited not just 1 or 2 schools. We didn't try to snag people out of a league. We invited all the Quad A schools.
Right.
Basically in District 11.
Makes much more sense.
It wasn't trying to exclude people. Had the Colonial League come and said, hey, well, Mountain Valley Conference, are you guys interested in joining us? Okay, that's a different story. And we had tried to go down that road several years now, once we knew Lehighton was leaving. But that they weren't interested in that. So we're trying to merge with the Lehigh Valley Conference and bring Bangor and Phillipsburg, who are Quad A schools, predominantly Quad A schools, and make a Quad A super conference. So we see it a little different than how the Colonial League, how they handled their situation.
Right. I mean, the super conference, that's huge. I think the hardest thing right now in playing in the Mountain Valley Conference is sort of getting a set schedule. And
Right.
I think that's one thing appeasing to almost anything is a set schedule. I mean, you would have to go Pleasant Valley, and I know Stroudsburg, they go up to schools almost outside of Scranton.
Right.
And to play those schools, to lose to them 1 year, and then don't get exactly
Right.
what and then you don't know who you're preparing for the following year,
Right.
what's going to be there. The super conference, I think, it would probably be the best way to go right now.
There's so many benefits to it, and when we look at the schools, I mean, we play the majority of the Lehigh Valley schools anyway, and I know a lot of focus in the media is on football and how do we compare to Lehigh Valley schools in football. Well, we need to get better. We're competitive. There are a number of schools up here that are competitive, but we need to get better overall as a league. But when we look at all the sports, we really do fairly well down there. Brad Pencil at West, district championship.
Right.
Our soccer team, district championship. Our basketball team goes down there. All the schools down up here can compete down there, but the focus is always on football.
Even this past weekend with track, they went down there, and
our track team's outstanding.
Yeah, and Lehigh Valley was taken by surprise by the track and field teams up here.
So we feel pretty good about our chances down there. But even the schools down there, it's school and sports specific. You're going to struggle some years, and you're going to do well some years. It's cyclical, and it's the same thing down there. But again, the majority of the focus seems to be on football, which is fine because it's a money-making sport for the schools. But
and that's the biggest criticism I hear is that these mountain schools,
right?
And I'm putting that in quotes. That's what Lehigh Valley says.
Right.
They can't hang with Allentown.
The big boys, yeah.
Yeah, but you guys go down there and you beat Deerfield.
Right.
You take on Whitehall.
Right.
You can hang with these guys. When it comes to even going into districts in any sport, you are taking on these schools and you are hanging with them.
Right.
Now, you were also quoted as saying that this league is in trouble. Now, some people have come to me. Was it financially? Is it because schools are? There's rumors going around that Pocono Mountain might become one school again. There's rumors going around that East Stroudsburg North might move on to another division also. Now, these are just rumors that that just come blasting to me.
Right. I would say the statement of our league is in trouble really comes down to the fact that when Lehighton leaves after next year, it's really difficult to only have 5 opponents, to have a 6-team league. You're going to be traveling so many places. Or the options are in the sports where you play twice in a year. Are you going to play them 3 times in a year?
Yeah, baseball.
It just gets monotonous, and you want to play different schools, so it's going to affect your budget, your transportation schedule, etc. The cost with busing.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And as far as the Pocono Mountains or the East Stroudsburgs becoming one again, those are rumors that I don't see happening for the next decade. The class sizes are comparable to what ours is here at Stroudsburg, and it may happen down the road. No one really knows, but I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Right.
It was more the scheduling and trying to get games for football. Where are you going to have to travel to?
It is a big burden. Not just on you guys as a school district, but to parents, to the fans.
Yeah.
Most of the people in this area from Stroudsburg, they're working in New Jersey, they're working in New York, they're coming home. They don't want to travel all the way another. And then you guys gets affected because you go to these away games. You're not bringing in
your crowd.
You're not bringing your crowd, and then those crowds aren't bringing the revenue back into your school for the sports.
Exactly. So that's what I meant about where our league is in trouble. It's basically the amount of teams we have and the travel that we would have to do to create a schedule for our kids, and the nights. Winter sports, etc. When are they going to get home to do homework and those types of things? So it would affect their education.
Right, absolutely. And you bring up Lehighton. Lehighton was already scheduled to move on.
Right.
And that wasn't a big surprise.
No.
Now, do you see you keeping into, because Lehighton's having a problem with their field hockey team now? Do you see the Mountain Valley Conference maybe perhaps waiving that and letting them compete in the Mountain Valley?
Should this merger not happen? Okay, should it not happen? Lehighton did petition us to be an associate member in field hockey, and we asked them simply. We've been looking to expand for, like I said, going back a year or two. Mm-hmm. We did ask them to wait until we found out what was going to happen to our league next year. So, depending on what happens, if the merger doesn't happen, then we seriously will entertain the idea of having Lehighton be an associate member for field hockey. If the merger does happen, that's something that the group will have to decide, and I don't know where that answer would go.
Right.
But it's unfortunate for Lehighton that the School League doesn't have field hockey.
That was a surprise to me when I read that.
But the Lehighton's they have requested to join the Colonial League for a number of years, and now now they get invited when they already joined another league. So
that was another thing that hit me. Like they already knew. Already knew that they were moving on to what was it? Schuylkill? Is it Schuylkill?
Yeah.
They already knew that was happening.
Right.
I think it was like you said. I think it was more. Let's just try to get Pleasant Valley into this.
Right.
And for whatever reasons, I don't know, because it never made any sense to me for Pleasant Valley to go into there because they're playing 2A schools.
Mm-hmm. It really made no sense. There was no good reason for Pleasant Valley to go.
Right.
I mean, it would only hurt their athletic program.
Absolutely.
And they'd be in a situation where Bangor is, where they're having a difficult time, even with a great record. They wouldn't make the district playoffs.
Have you been getting any feedback from ever since you sent the letter out?
We haven't yet. I'm sure. I mean, the newspaper media is going crazy with it down there, and it's a big move. But some of the conversations we've had with schools, we feel very positive that it will fly.
For the most, I mean, it really does make a lot of sense for Bangor to do it. I mean, and another conversation that has popped up from Bangor was, if Bangor would do this, would the Mountain Valley Conference leave that one game open for them to play Penn?
You know what? I hope to reach out to them and say, you know what? I really think with the schedule and the flexibility of the schedule, I really believe that could work out. I mean, I'm not an athletic director. I don't work on that type of schedule. But I think something like that could work out for them.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's one of the biggest traditions and the traditions behind it.
Exactly.
Pleasant Valley at their meeting said, we don't want to lose the bucket. And now every athlete that I talked to from Pleasant Valley says Stroudsburg's now their number one rival in all their sports. And I see it. Pleasant Valley, Stroudsburg, in every single sport goes. But it would be the traditions behind everything.
Absolutely.
Bangor versus Penn is huge.
Yeah.
Pleasant Valley versus Spoken Mountain. You guys versus East Stroudsburg.
Right.
Those are big.
Those should be maintained. And I think if that can be maintained,
would like to hear that too.
I think if that can be maintained from Bangor's perspective with Penn, I think we have a good shot of them joining. I think another concern of some of the schools might be the divisions that might be created, and some discussions that we've had with a number of schools in the Valley and us in the Mountain Valley are how will these divisions be set up. We talked about with the Super Conference the great ability to change divisions based on the sport. So they're not definitely locked in. So there's a lot of creativity that can happen with your strength of sport. And that may change over the years. You may be good for a couple of years. You may have some down years, but there's so many options. And so the divisions have not been predetermined, and it's all for discussion with the group that signs that paper on May 31st and when we meet on June 6th.
I mean, that's awesome, honestly. You're still keeping the divisions would break down into the strength of how they would play the sports, give the kids more competitiveness.
Right.
Or,
for instance, Allen and Diriff, they joined the Mountain Valley as associate members for football because they know where they're at. I mean, they want to build their programs. They were losing kids, and even though they didn't win as many games as they wanted to this year in football, they were competitive. They were in the games. They weren't out of the game in the first quarter.
Right.
So that's what we're looking to maintain with this league, and I think we can. And that's obviously they're interested in doing that. So we think it can work out.
I'm on board. I'm fun for this.
Yeah.
I'm big time for this. I mean, this whole area. I mean, you're also dealing with it would become closer again.
Right.
These games would actually mean something because either we like it or not. We don't like going up to, and we don't care if as a fan now looking out, it's like, okay, Pleasant Valley or Stroudsburg lost to Wyoming missing, or they beat Wyoming missing. Doesn't really, besides the points, and only the people on the inside really know what the points are.
Right.
You know, most people are just looking at the win and loss columns, and how come we didn't make it here? Well, we lost.
Right.
And even now, if the Colonial League was to come in, they lost to a 2A school.
Mm-hmm.
It would be.
Yeah.
It would be horrible.
Yeah.
Now, all right, one more question before I know you got to get out of here. How would P-Burg work since they are in New Jersey? This is my question.
We have also we have heard that they're really interested. Their concern is what they have to weigh is how important is it in making the New Jersey playoffs, because from what I heard is they have to play 80% of their games in New Jersey. But they also are very interested in going back to the ties of the East Penn League. When I think their affiliation really is more to the Lehigh Valley. So
I agree.
That's going to be. I know. I went to Whitehall. We played Peaburg. I was in the East Penn Conference. It was a great game. We loved going over and traveling to Jersey.
It was always a pride. It's always a pride.
Across the bridge. Yeah.
Yeah, Pennsylvania. No matter if you're coming from Pennsylvania, no matter what team you're going over there, beat the Peaburg kids.
So it'll be interesting what decision they make, because we believe that there's some interest. One other thing that I do want to say is that a criticism that has come out in the paper was that we were excluding Central Catholic and Becca. So what from the Mountain Valley Conference's perspective, and what I and the other athletic directors are looking to do, is we are looking to help our league, and our sole purpose in this is not to exclude somebody, but include them based on what category they are.
Right.
And that was Quad A. So if the 12 invitations went out, how many we get back in, that's the group that's going to make a decision if we're going to invite anybody else or open it up to anybody else based on their classification. We've always had good relationships with Becca and Central, but they didn't meet our criteria that we were sending out.
You went 3A schools.
4A schools.
4A schools.
Right. That's the direction we went, and where it goes from there, that's going to be the group's decision. The league decided they wanted to go in this direction with the Quad A's. It's pretty cut and dry based on your enrollment, and yes, some of the schools may have a maybe triple A in one sport or another, but we looked at predominantly your sports are Quad A, and that's what we looked at.
And I think everybody's going to be on board. I mean, for the Mountain Valley Conference, I mean, this would be huge for...
Right, it's great for our league.
For the coaches, for the students, it would be huge. Mr. Sodl, I appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate it.
You got it. Thank you.